Now, I'm not American, but we can't deny American football is freaking huge. It was like a holiday over there, especially during Super Bowl season, and it's been one of the most fascinating things to look at as an Asian guy watching American high school movies growing up.
You think football is still fun?
Yes.
That popularity goes for the Madden franchise and recently college football as well. Starting off as John Madden Football in 1989, the franchise has been going strong for over 35 years now and has been one of the most profitable franchises for EA, as it's the top-selling sports game in the United States, alongside FC, which has been dominating Europe. So of course, I needed to check it out. Not only to understand the sport better, but also to see what everyone has been talking about. And damn, were a lot of you guys right. And as to what about, well, there's a lot, so let's get to it. Now, I've never played these games before or watched the sport, so I needed to take some time to get myself up to speed. All I've known from the media is that touchdowns are good, Tom Brady's the GOAT, Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift are probably getting married, and that Kendrick Lamar made history, which, as you may notice, doesn't tell me a lot about the sport itself. So jumping into the games has been particularly educational. And what I've learned is that it's generally this really violent chess match, with players being very specialized in their roles on offense and defense. A war zone that requires a lot of quick thinking and even more pain tolerance, as it is a brutal sport. The only downside to this as a newbie is that it does make learning teams a nightmare. I was already overwhelmed with having to learn about 11 positions and their variants with soccer, but learning about 22 players and subsequently watching out for the star players on every team for these games is just way beyond what my brain can take. That said, the Madden games are great for a newbie like me because it does give a lot of room to learn these mechanics, to practice plays, to get to know the players and get acquainted with the tactical aspect of the sport. But unfortunately, despite the initial joy that I felt after the game clicked in my head, after about 100 hours across 6 titles now, this franchise, among all of the ones that I've reviewed so far from EA and 2K, is definitely the worst. And one that badly, and I mean badly, needs its franchise to open up to competitors. Let's start with the mode I usually play the most, and that's the player career, which in Madden is called the face of the franchise, or Superstar, which apparently is a name they brought back from older titles. Spoiler alert, I found out that this is going to be a recurring theme for this game series. And to be honest, there's not a lot to say about this mode feature-wise, because they don't really change much year to year. Sure, in Madden 21 they expanded the positions, and later we got some additional stuff with the Combine, both of which are features they apparently already had in the PS2 era, but brought back in diluted forms. But generally, the format doesn't change. You get drafted to a team, you upgrade your character, you do practice grills, try to keep your coach happy. Occasionally, EA starts to peddle the microtransaction stuff, and there are some side quests you can do. But mostly it's just menu stuff that improves certain traits or reputation and that kind of thing. So after a while, most of it is just you clicking and getting it out of the way. So let's set that part aside and focus on the true highlight of this mode for the 6 games I played. And that was the story. And it's not because they were good, because I have to admit, I was having fun with these in a similar way a kid would enjoy seeing cars get crushed by monster trucks. We truly got the full gamut with the cheese fest that is the sick daughter storyline and annoying as f*** agent for Madden 20. A full-on Nike ad disguised as a career story for Madden 22. 23's storyline was sort of interesting, with you playing a 5th-year player struggling to make it big, but they didn't really do much with that angle, and I don't think anybody prefers that over having the chance to play someone from college football all the way to the NFL. And then 24, we had the regular draft combine, which I guess is just EA running out of ideas, I suppose. Now, if you're thinking I forgot about Madden 21, I didn't, because surprise, surprise, I can't play face of the franchise in that game because EA servers are down, which I'll never understand the need for in a mostly single player mode. I'm super salty about this because I paid like £6 for a used copy of this game, and the only mode I could play was franchise, which was just a reskin from 2020. Anyways, it's so sad because I heard that this particular storyline is the most insane one of all, and overall they were all cringy, sure, but they at least made my experience entertaining. So you can imagine my extreme disappointment when I booted up Superstar in Madden 25 and you just go straight to the Combine. No context to your character, no story, and the cutscenes, for some reason, don't have audio anymore. Do you mean to tell me that this billion-dollar company can't afford voice actors for a segment that usually has cutscenes that last a total of about, 2 hours long? Now, I haven't played Madden for very long, but this absolutely feels like a massive downgrade because it seems like either they're lazy and didn't put the effort, or they interpreted all the previous year's criticisms of the narrative, how players are now just skipping the cutscenes, and they just assumed that we didn't want it. In which case, they're pretty dumb. I feel like I speak for many player career lovers in saying that if you want players to stop criticizing and skipping your story, what you do is... No, don't just throw the baby out with the bathwater, especially if the mode itself barely has anything to keep it engaging and you don't have anything to replace it with. I remember throughout all this thinking that compared to FIFA or FC, this was actually something EA at least put effort into when it comes to the player career. Maybe they'll improve it, but damn, joke's on me for getting my hopes up, I guess. With player career being not as fun, what ended up happening is franchise mode became the one mode I sunk the most time on, as you do have a lot more stuff to do. Although I realized that after playing all these games, it doesn't really say that much. You could notice some changes from Madden 20 to 25, but they were very gradual. Mostly menu overhauls that don't feel like overhauls because holy hell, EA just cannot get their menu interfaces to look good. It's like physically impossible for them. I've also lost count of the number of times I thought, wait, they don't have that yet? For really simple management features that were already present in other games, such as the ability to hire a coaching staff, which didn't happen until Madden 22, and was again apparently something they already had but stopped in Madden 2012. Now this is really becoming a trend, huh? They couldn't possibly have that many features that they took out from previous years.
All 89 of those features were in previous Madden games.
Oh, well, damn, that's a lot. Even making your own team took a while to be put into these games, and it's basically an exercise and a half with it being a separate website. It's great that they finally put it in, but they really need to reduce the friction on it, as most games already incorporate it, like FIFA and previous Madden games. But I suppose because the game is just a sloppy mess of legacy code from the Frostbite engine, kinda like NBA 2K, that it's hard to make any significant changes. I know it's been bad, but I never thought it was this bad for so long. The players went on a viral campaign on Twitter to get EA to actually fix franchise mode after Madden 21, and to be frank, I don't know whether people got what they wanted out of that. And then we've got Ultimate Team, which is a feature that requires very little introduction, and in my case, very little playtime. Mostly because I don't hate myself. I've done this song and dance with FIFA and FC, and I am not about to do it again with Madden because it's literally the same concept. Step 1, build your team. Step 2, open packs. Step 3, see that many of your opponents have all whaled or grinded their way to overpowered builds. Step 4, use money to buy more packs. Step 5, cry that you didn't get the players you need. Step 6, repeat step 2 until poor, or grind until EA releases Madden 27. It is the money-making machine in EA's business model and starts as soon as you buy one of their deluxe editions or MVP bundles. Because for the really, really low price of $150 US, you can get both Madden and college football and some Madden points and packs to go with that. So you can get started on that monetization. Yippee. But say we're going for just that standard $70 price tag. It's just not worth that spend at all. We can argue all we want about how the worth of a game is different across players, sure, but we need to contextualize that to the product as well, and more importantly, what the producer is doing. EA earns about $1 billion on their American football franchises. This is based on their earnings from April 2024 to the end of March 2025, which means it encompasses earnings from the tail end of Madden 24, the explosive release of 25 in August, and also college football 25. This represents about 14% of EA's $7.4 billion net revenue in the same period. In 2020, when they inked their last multi-year deal with the NFL, they paid out at least $1.6 billion over 5 years, with additional terms based on sales. So let's say I round this up to about $2 billion. This is just around $400 million or so a year, which means that EA is probably earning somewhere in the ballpark of $600 million from the franchise every year at least. And if you're wondering where I'm integrating the cost of development in my calculations, well, I don't know about you guys, but I'm very far from thinking that the quality we're getting is incurring any intense development costs. And if it is, how and why? There's also possible revenue that comes from all of the ad placements they do for brands like Nike and Adidas, so it's not surprising if they can also cover any residual costs through that. And for earning this much and being the sole owner of the franchise, you can hope that at least the simulation aspect is fun. Maybe that offsets the flaws we see in the game modes, because after all, how much can you really add to the sport of football? Now, to be fair, playing in pro was definitely enjoyable. As I was learning the ropes, it felt like a good place to pick up the skills, and as you get better, you definitely start to understand these areas that opposing teams lapse on and you can exploit. And later, as you get better, that starts to become boring, and of course, you'd naturally want to up the difficulty. But man, are they very inconsistent, especially when you try out all Madden. The scripting is insane in this game, which is an ongoing trend with EA Sports games. Passing becomes absolutely impossible sometimes as CPU opponents automatically seem to know what play I'll be making, and my teammates' IQ seem to drop to the floor. Sometimes I'm just throwing an open touch pass to my 6'4" tight end and they actually catch the ball, but because they get slightly nudged from behind, they drop it. That goes for any receiver that I even attempt to lob to. It's just not happening. Defenders have eyes at the back of their heads, and it takes 5 business days for my receivers to get open on their routes, and I get sacked. But when I'm on defense, every single quarterback is somehow Tom Brady, and trying to switch feels pointless because my defensive plays feel like a dice roll every single time. They keep advertising their boom tech and field sense and whatever other buzzword for their marketing in these games' physics, but they've largely been buggy and inconsistent. It's very difficult to feel immersed if players keep clipping into each other or keep getting caught in animations, and spelling errors are scattered everywhere, sometimes in very early parts of game modes, making it feel like the quality checking is non-existent or that nobody in the company actually plays these games. We can't keep going on and on about your game being the simulation experience for the NFL if your gameplay is largely animation-based. It's fine if the goal is a bit of an arcadey experience, I suppose, which is why we have modes called arcade and simulation. But what's the point if even the simulation mode feels too arcadey a lot of the times? But what I think that really gave me the ick for the series is how they treated John Madden's legacy in Madden 23. When they dedicated Madden 23 to John Madden, I'd assumed that there would at least be some highlights to his career as a coach. A Madden equivalent of something like the Jordan Challenge of NBA 2K11 or Eras Mode for 2K23, which was in the same year. But all we get in terms of gameplay that ties into his career is that intro game, and then nothing else. I may criticize NBA 2K a lot, as it is the primary sport I watch and play, but at least it knows how to honor the sport's history. I wanted to learn more about this amazing personality and coach and why he became the namesake of the games. I wanted to see and play some of his biggest achievements, to understand how hard it is to replicate them even in a video game because they're just that legendary. I'm not expecting multiple game scenarios in years with the Raiders, maybe just a couple, or even some games where he provided commentary as a broadcaster and designed challenges around the circumstances for those games. Hell, I'd probably be happy with just a highlight reel or special memorial section in the game where you can see clips or highlights of his career and read a short biography or timeline of his achievements. Literally anything that can make his legacy a core identity of the game, rather than just an afterthought after the first, 20 or 30 minutes? And even with those first 20 or 30 minutes, the most I got to learn about John Madden is from that commentary, which I could barely pay attention or listen to while actually playing the match. And sure, we get that nice menu sequence. It's really cool, I'm not gonna lie. It's among the best, I think, from the games I've played in this series. But that doesn't tell me much. And I know that licensing may be the main issue, but it's definitely not impossible, at least not financially, considering that EA is generating 5 times the revenue of Take-Two Interactive. Not even just 2K, the entirety of Take-Two Interactive, including Rockstar Games, and yet 2K can get licenses for their classic players. And at the end of the day, you're honoring your game's namesake. That should open up exceptions for that game, at least for any licensing roadblocks that may come up, so that people can properly honor him. If a franchise can't even make that effort to respect their game's namesake and a legend of your organization as a whole, then how can the NFL not consider other providers who will put in that kind of effort. And speaking about providers, talking about competition is tough because if sports franchises are more implicitly monopolies, Madden is an actual monopoly due to its exclusive rights to the NFL franchise. After pushing out 2K from 2004 to 2005, this franchise has just been complacency incarnate. This year is supposed to be the realest Madden ever with QB and coach DNA. Anyways, if we take out all the marketing fluff, all those buzzwords, and just kind of focus on the features we get, I am interested. Some, again, have already existed in the past, but it's good that they're bringing them back because they do improve the gameplay. But I want to flag a few things. In terms of what we're getting, we get halftime shows, newer broadcast packages, custom defensive zones. They're revamping Superstar as well to have more depth on the story progression through chapters and having spheres of influence. Franchise mode is supposedly getting massively overhauled with so many features, including expanded coach customization and that wear and tear feature that they've been hype about. It's a lot, and some sound genuinely good. But the reason I'm not convinced is because of the fact that we haven't heard much news about the renewal of the franchise agreement between EA and the NFL. Usually this becomes a huge announcement for any publicly listed company because this will naturally lead to a lot of investor optimism and stock market upside. But because there's nothing yet, and now we're seeing a sudden influx of upgrades to this year's version, there is a huge chance that how this Madden performs may dictate whether or not the NFL continues to give EA the exclusive license, a notion that's been repeated by other YouTubers such as Soft Drink TV. And if that's the case, what I would recommend to other players, and this may be difficult to do, is to not support the game, or at least don't buy it early. It could be the best damn Madden in the last decade, but please don't do it. It sounds unreasonable, may even sound petty, but my goal is not to have one good Madden game followed by another decade of mediocre ones. I want multiple studios fighting for our money and attention by giving us the best damn football simulation game they could make every single year. We need competition. I'm here for the long haul because I want to play more good football games. It's a great sport, it's massively fun to watch, and it's such a waste if it can't be accurately portrayed in video game form. If there were so many great features for this series nearly 20 years ago, why can't we have all of that now? And more. This series needs competitors, and for once there may be a chance, so if you're able to wait, save your money. Play something else. Maybe that sacrifice will pay off. Now, I can't control how you use your money, and that's entirely up to you. All I'm saying is that there's a really good chance here, and it would be good if you can just hold back a little, and we can probably see some really good things happen for this franchise for more years to come. But that's just my own opinion. Let me know your own thoughts about this franchise, and if you think I missed anything, do leave a comment down below. Leave a like and subscribe if you want to see me talk about more greedy aspects of this industry. This is Sai from Fireplace Gaming, and I hope you have a good one. Catch you later.